All right, everybody. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing well. And we got a couple things to go over in today's video. Obviously, there's going to be a primary topic of this video that we will get to shortly. But first, I want to announce that I'm going to be making an appearance on the 12 Talk podcast, the UK Seahawkers official podcast, later today. I was supposed to appear a couple of weeks ago, but there were some scheduling conflicts, couldn't make it happen. And then I was supposed to be on it Monday, and then there was another scheduling conflict. So this has been put off for a little while, I know, but as far as I know, as of me right now recording this video, I believe that this is going to be happening in about 4 hours. So 1 o'clock Pacific. Definitely check it out. Try to be there. We're going to talk a little bit about the Vikings game. Hope to see you guys there. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you guys about Sleeper. I'll tell you a little secret as well. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users have enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there's so much more to it. You have live stats, real-time updates of all stats. You have a news feed with lightning-fast updates on players and teams, and a real-time chat where you can engage with other users about plays, performances, games, all kinds of stuff during the sports season. So download Sleeper, experience it for yourself, and don't forget to use my promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit, and pair that with their new promo that will give you a free $20 entry, no deposit needed. So you can use both of those promos. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and going. So check out Sleeper today and use those promos. All right, so yeah, let's move to the main topic of this video now. Anthony Bradford. Every Seahawks fan that I encounter in recent times on the Discord, on Facebook, on X, wherever it may be, they're talking about Anthony Bradford. He is the most discussed Seahawks player right now, and it goes beyond Seahawks fans now. The general football watching public is becoming aware of Anthony Bradford. They know what he's doing, they know what he's not doing, that he's on the meme pages, he's getting on TikToks now, millions of people viewing, thousands of people commenting. The world is becoming aware of the Anthony Bradford experience. And I think a lot of Seahawks fans want off the ride. It is maybe the most discussed thing right now. And that's pretty sad, right? This team is 9-3. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They have, scoring wise anyway, one of the best offenses in the league. They have a real good chance to make a deep run this year. They're clearly on the right path. So many things are going right. But right now, if you're a Seahawks fan, part of your mind is on Anthony Bradford. And given that everybody wants to talk about this guy right now, let's go ahead and discuss Anthony Bradford at some length, just isolated from any other conversation. Well, Anthony Bradford and the conversation around what can be done. Because, look, the guy is his play, the memes, the viral clips, they speak for themselves. He's not doing so well. Anthony Bradford is not having the year that Seahawks fans were hoping he would. And I will say that there was reason for optimism at one point. There was definitely a point in time where it looked like we might be getting something at least workable. But as of right now, Anthony Bradford is ranked at the bottom of the league by PFF. Now, this is PFF we're talking about. I'm not saying they always get it right, but if you go by PFF, he's bottom 10 in terms of overall play for a guard. He's bottom 5 in terms of pass blocking for a guard. And while he's workable, he's still below average in run blocking. Now, those are grades, subjective. Whether you want to take Pro Football Focus seriously here, that's up to you. So I'm not going to tell anybody that they have to buy what PFF is selling here. But here's the thing with Bradford. It's not even about Pro Football Focus grades. When he makes a mistake, when things go bad for him, it goes bad in such an obvious and visceral and in-your-face way. It's impossible to ignore. Like, do I believe that it's possible that Anthony Bradford is making about the same number of mistakes and committing the same number of bad plays as a guy like Jalen Sundle or Olu Oluwatimi or even a Gray Zabel? Yeah, I think that's possible. But when those guys mess up, it's subtle. It's a little more under the radar. It looks kind of like just a normal mess up. And it's just a normal football play. Sometimes you don't get it done. Sometimes it's just not your play. And in the case of Anthony Bradford, when he messes up, the whole world sees it. It just looks so bad. It's right in front of you. It's often comical, or it would be comical if it wasn't so aggravating. And because of that, I think that Seahawks fans and football fans in general look at Anthony Bradford and they just go, that guy can't play in this league. That guy doesn't know what he's doing. And look, I can see it both ways. I do think that Bradford is bad. I also think that his badness is probably, it looks worse than it actually is, because when he messes up, it is jumping out of your TV screen into your lap. I mean, how often do you notice, really, when an offensive lineman just misses a block or lets a pass rusher swim move past him, and it's the first thing you notice about the play? Most of the time you're watching the ball. Most of the time you're watching the quarterback or the running back or whatever. With Bradford, it feels like you're watching him because he blows it in such an over-the-top comical way. It takes your attention away from the rest of the play. Now, let's talk about Bradford a little bit more before we move on here, because I do want to be clear here. I do think he's playing poorly. I don't think there's any way around that. You go to the more objective stats, the objective metrics on Anthony Bradford, where they actually, like, objectively have to figure out whether or not a player is committing an infraction by allowing a sack or a pressure or a penalty or whatever. I want to be clear, Bradford is not good here either. As a starting right guard in the NFL, there's nothing good about allowing 20 pressures on 374 pass blocking reps. As a right guard in this league, if you're good, you should be in single digits, because as a right guard, you are going up against 1 techs, 0 techs. You are probably getting a decent amount of help from your center. And as a right guard, even if you're not a great pass protector, you should be good enough to not have things like this happen. So I want to be clear here. This is not good. 20 pressures allowed from a right guard is not getting it done. But I do think that there is some truth to the idea that these numbers are not as bad as the viral TikTok and Instagram and YouTube videos. 20 pressures in 12 games and 3 penalties, that doesn't sound like the worst thing ever. And I do, obviously you need to do better. Again, I'm going to stress, there's a huge difference between a guy like a Charles Cross allowing about 20 pressures and Bradford doing it. And then you look at some of these games, right? 4 pressures allowed against, what was this? Was this Tampa? Yeah, Tampa. He allowed 5 pressures, including a sack and a quarterback hit against Houston. He also had 2 penalties in that Houston game, by the way. Like, when he's off, he's off. However, just to present the other side of it, because I know there are people out there presenting this side, and I don't think these people are without some merit in their observation here. Over the last 5 games, Anthony Bradford has committed 1 penalty and allowed a total of 3 quarterback pressures. So there's perception, and then there's reality, where when Bradford messes up, it's like watching Charlie Chaplin out there doing some kind of a stunt. It's, again, it is the thing that you notice because it's right in your face. But when you look at the numbers, you start to understand why the Seahawks have been reticent to move off of Bradford. Because after a really bad start, admittedly, I do think he started this season off pretty badly. A lot of pressures allowed for a right guard, not okay. But you can see over the last 5 games, he's gotten a lot less leaky in pass protection. And there's a certain amount of stubbornness that you have as an NFL coach. There is. And you need to be a little bit stubborn if you want to make it in the NFL. You need to find that right balance of too stubborn, not stubborn enough. You need to find that middle point where you are the right amount of stubborn. So I understand that Bradford looks worse than he actually is. I totally get that. I want to be clear. But here's the other side of this, because the other conversation that you have with Anthony Bradford, and I know that this video is already over 11 minutes long, and I haven't even really said kind of the main thing that people really want to get to here, because the Bradford conversation is so complicated. What do we do? And this is the question I get asked all the time. Why don't we put in somebody else? Why don't we play somebody else over Anthony Bradford? What is it going to take? Why don't we put Anthony Bradford in the game? And here's the thing, and I'm gonna move my my face cam over to the left side here because I'm gonna be blocking some important stuff if I if I stay on the right side. The question is, who are you gonna replace him with, and do you believe it'll be better? And the conversation, of course, starts with Christian Haynes. Now, Christian Haynes, there isn't really a lot I can say here, because he's played so little in the NFL. Anything that I conclude will be based off very limited information, right? Like, this guy played 24 snaps this year, and of those 24 snaps, if you look over to the bottom right of the screen here, only about half of them were at right guard. The others were at left guard and center. And grade-wise, at least, he's been every bit as bad as Bradford. Like, there's no indication here that he's a better player. Now, you go back to 2024, you have a little more data. He played a decent number of snaps. Let's jump over to 2024 here real quick. He gave you over 160 snaps. Okay. But first of all, he was graded very poorly. No better than what Bradford is right now. He got lit up in pass protection in terms of pressures allowed, and he also allowed a sack. A very limited number of snaps, and he's still getting lit up. And what we saw from him last year is a lack of functional strength to play the right guard position. Okay? Right guard requires strength because you're going up against one techs and zero techs, and you need to be able to bully offensive linemen out of the way for run blocking. And the thing with Christian Haynes that we saw last year is it seems like he doesn't really have that, which is why I thought it would be an interesting idea to consider putting him at left guard or center, where the strength requirement isn't there to that degree. So, whatever little you think of Anthony Bradford, and most Seahawks fans think very little of him for understandable reasons, he has functional strength. He actually has a lot of strength. And as much as he cannot always put it to good use because he's whiffing, especially in open space, especially when he's asked to play on the move, he has the strength to run block. And my best guess is that they're looking at Christian Haynes in practice because, remember, we've only seen Christian Haynes for a couple hundred snaps in NFL games and then some stuff in preseason. They see Christian Haynes in practice every single practice session for the last few weeks now. And then, of course, the off season and whatever they saw from him last season, they're seeing the same problem. And if Christian Haynes lacks the functional strength to block, then Quite simply, he can't play. It's actually more of a non-starter than Anthony Bradford. It is. I know that sounds very confusing to some people, and look, I understand that Anthony Bradford looks very inept out there, but say what you will, this has been one of the best offenses in football with Anthony Bradford on the field. And one of the reasons why the offense has been good over the last month is because they're getting better play from their run game. If you take Anthony Bradford off the field and you replace him with somebody who doesn't even have the strength to get out of the starting blocks as a right guard on running plays, you're going to lose even that. That is worse than whiffing on run blocks, not having the functional strength to move guys. It really is. At other positions, maybe not, but at right guard, you really need some muscle. So that is my theory on why Christian Haynes has not yet supplanted Anthony Bradford. I think they see something with him in practice that is still a non-starter in that regard. Now, who else could it be? And the reason why I'm talking about this, and one of the reasons why I made this video, Jalen Sundle is coming back soon, and Brady Henderson had this tweet a couple days ago, and Mike McDonald kind of fed a little bit of fuel into the fire here, talking about how he could maybe be added to the lineup without going back to center, because Oluwatimi has done okay. And there are some things that Oluwatimi is doing well that Sundle cannot do. Maybe they want to roll with that. And we know that Jalen Sundle had an opportunity at right guard in the offseason, and he didn't lose the right guard job so much as he won the center job, so somebody else had to play right guard. So you put it all together, Jalen Sundle is a feasible option to play right guard. You could take Bradford out, put Sundle in, and then you've got Oluwatimi and Sundle on the field at the same time, and maybe that makes you better. Again, I wonder, does Jalen Sundle have the functional strength to run block at right guard? And here's the other thing that I really want to hammer here, because this matters. While Jalen Sundle did get work at right guard in the offseason, he doesn't really have a lot of experience playing it under his belt. As of right now, it's only 2 years anyway. He has never played a snap in a real NFL game at right guard. Every snap he's played has been at center or as a jumbo tight end. And you go back to college, remember, he was in college. He played a ton of college football, 2,400 snaps. Only 47 of those snaps came at right guard, and they all came very early in his career. So the evidence is pretty clear here. Jalen Sundle is a center. He played tackle in college. Obviously, he's not a tackle in the NFL, but he did not get reps at right guard. So if you do this, you're asking him to do something that he has not really done before. And that's always risky. Bryce Cabledew, this is another guy that Seahawks fans ask about. Could he be the right guard? Well, he's a rookie, so we know he's never done anything in the NFL before. He's played a little bit of football in a couple of games, but I think it's less than 20 snaps. Did a little bit of stuff in the preseason, just getting his feet wet. Obviously, he had the offseason. But again, what has he done so far in his football playing career? You go back to his 5 years at Kansas, over 3,000 snaps. And only one of those 3,000 snaps was at right guard. Now, here's the thing. Bryce Cabledew was a tackle in college. We all knew, everybody in the world knew, Cabledew was not going to be able to play tackle in the NFL. He was clearly going to slide inside anyway. So if he wants to have staying power in the NFL, he's going to have to find a way to succeed at either left guard, right guard, or center. But as of this moment, he hasn't done it yet. And I got to ask, do you really want to take a former 6th round pick, rookie, who has basically no NFL experience, and tell him to play right guard for the first time in, at the very least, over half a decade, maybe longer? Maybe you're going back to high school now, and say, hey, look, we're trying to win the Super Bowl. Go. Is that really a good idea? I know that everybody's going to say, well, it can't be worse than Bradford, but I'm going to say it again. It can be. You need strength. I don't know if Cable Do has it. I don't know if he doesn't, but I don't know if he does. And the final guy that people ask about, Josh Jones. Could Josh Jones be the right guard? Take out Bradford, put in Jones. I think the fundamental problem here, because this is interesting, the fundamental problem is that Josh Jones is your backup left tackle and he's your backup right tackle, kind of. So he's already backing up 2 spots. You don't really want to put that guy in an actual game as a starter while he's the backup, because what happens if you need him at tackle? Do you just take him out, put in Bradford, and then you're swapping in parts just willy-nilly? It's a little awkward. And also, the same question persists here. You look at Josh Jones's NFL career. He's been around a little while. He's a little bit of a veteran. Played 1,800 snaps in the NFL before he got here this season. So, got reps under his belt. He has played right guard before. He actually played right guard mostly in 2021 for, I think it was, Arizona. But since then, he has been a tackle. He has been a tackle. He was pretty much exclusively a tackle the year he was actually graded well by PFF. You can see every other year of his career, he was graded miserably. He was graded miserably the one year he got a bunch of reps at right guard, 46.7, so that's Anthony Bradford territory. And he also gave up 29 pressures in less than 500 pass blocking reps, so that's actually worse than Bradford. And, oh, by the way, 12 penalties. So the one year he actually got work at right guard, it was kind of a disaster. It was kind of untenable. Like, literally, statistically anyway, it's worse than Bradford. And the years in his career, or the year in his career where he was actually good, he was a tackle. And we signed him as a tackle, and he's played tackle for us a little bit. So, I mean, that seems to be the way we view him, not as a guard. And even if you want to go back to his college career when he was at Houston, and look, this was so long ago, I don't even know if we really need to look at this all that much, but for whatever it's worth, he was a left tackle and a little bit of a right tackle, but he didn't play on the interior at all. So, Josh Jones, he's a tackle through and through. There was one year where he had to play a bunch of guard because I assume Arizona just kind of had to make do with what they had. And that happens sometimes, but Josh Jones was not good at it. And this was years ago anyway. Who knows if he's even comfortable doing it? So, there's no good options here, people. The trade deadline has passed. There's nobody you can really sign. It's just a bad situation. But I'm not convinced that any of these guys are going to be better. I think your best bet is Jalen Sundle because he is playing okay football for you at center, and he was working out for you as right guard. But I would not be shocked if he goes out there and in a different way maybe, but ultimately with the same effect, he is just as big a detriment on the offense. Like, he was workable at center, a position that he actually has some familiarity with. I gotta believe you lose something if you're asking him to do something he's done very little of. All right, long video, but Anthony Bradford deserves a long video right now because this one's hard, this one's tough, and there's no good answer. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.